Hey everyone. Today I'm going to talk about a topic that is very misunderstood and is very important in the modern world particularly, and that topic is the psyche and its place in reality. For all future talks, this is going to be the most important. You're going to have to, if you want to understand the rest of my arguments, you're going to have to understand this one. This is the first and most important argument in my philosophy. Okay? To understand the psyche and its place in reality, we have to understand the psyche and we have to understand reality. I mean, I don't claim to understand them fully, but these are sort of generalizations. Uh, these are observations about how these things function and what their component parts are, more particularly. Uh, Reality itself has two components. In the English language, it has two components, and these components are man and nature. Nature is viewed as being somehow different from man in the English language and in Western civilization, but they're not actually different. These are just arbitrary lines. They're arbitrary divisions we've chosen, particularly because we view ourselves as being special or somehow different from the rest of the creatures and the manifestations of reality. All right? So we've established man and nature are the two constituent parts. Now we're going to break down man because man is important in this argument, nature not so much. Nature is important, of course, and it's vastly complicated, but we're going to leave it alone. We're going to deal with man for now. What are the component parts of man? Man is composed of his body, of course, and his psyche, right? The all-important psyche in this argument. Now, what is the psyche? I mean, the body is again not as important. Of these two components, the body is less important for this argument because the body is just this is a hunk of meat. Okay, it's a vastly complicated hunk of meat, but we're going to deal with the psyche because that's the point of this argument. What is the psyche? Well, the psyche is, some people would say, above and beyond and transcendent, and it is somehow not part of the body. Others would argue that it arises because of the body. I'm not going to argue either way because it's not important. We know that the psyche is there, and that's enough for me in this argument. Okay? So what is the psyche actually? The psyche is, in fact, the sum total of your thoughts and feelings. Everything that arises in the psyche composes the psyche. Okay? So thoughts and feelings I'm going to put under the same umbrella, and I'm going to call them cognitive constructs because they arise from cognition, right? The simpler cognitive constructs may be called feelings, and the more complex ones called thoughts, or the subtle ones be called thoughts, and the obvious, blatant ones could be called feelings. It doesn't really matter, okay? Because a lot of them, the line is fuzzy, right? So what are these cognitive constructs? What do I actually mean by cognitive constructs? Well, the most important one, I think, the most obvious example of a cognitive construct and how cognitive constructs relate to the importance of the psyche in reality uh, is numerals. The numeral 1, the numeral 6, the numeral 10,000, like these, the idea of numbers, the idea of quantifying things. There is no, in fact, the idea of an identical, a group of identical objects, say 6 people, implies that there are 6 identical objects, but they're not actually the same thing. They're very different things that are just close enough in our mind that we've grouped them together under the same, under this, as 6 units of blank. But there's in fact no such thing as a unit, not as far as we know. Perhaps at the very, 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 very subtle quantum level, but I'm not a quantum physicist. I don't know. I'm not going to deal with it, right? So numerals, negative numerals is another example of a cognitive construct that's very important because we couldn't, civilization, your daily life would not function without the idea of debt, favors. Um, Negative numerals don't actually exist. You can't have a -$1 or a -pound. You can't have -5 pounds like on your body in weight. You can't have -5 pounds. You've just taken 5 pounds of your weight and put it somewhere else, and that is what a negative numeral is. It's the idea. It is a way of talking about the proximity or ownership of a numeral. So it's one cognitive construct layered on top of another cognitive construct, right? Other ones that are important for civilization are value. Value is critical because it's talking about how much use or how much joy or how much a certain thing helps us as people, right? So value we like to express in dollars. Our civilization likes to express value in dollars, but value again, it's just another cognitive construct. I shouldn't say just. That's wrong. It's an injustice to cognitive constructs because, as I'm saying, they're critical. Uh, they're critical for the functioning of civilization society. Okay, So, I mean, without value, our entire society would collapse. Other ones that are important for the psychological health of human beings are love, desire, beauty, uh, things like these. These are very important, and in the arts and in your daily life. I mean, without certain things like love, you could actually die. It could happen. You could spiral into depression and then just kill yourself, and it does happen all too often, sadly. But the most important, I think, of some of these subtle, more abstract cognitive constructs is divinity. And divinity is going to be the subject of much discussion in future talks. But for now, especially since divinity is a vastly complicated topic about which I'm not going to talk right now, it suffices to say that divinity is a cognitive construct that is very important, as are all cognitive constructs in our daily life, because we have to live with our own minds, and we have to accept the fact that we are human beings, and that human beings are part of reality. Okay? So that is sort of a brief exposition as to why the psyche is important in reality. Thanks a lot. Feel free to leave comments below. I hope that keeps you thinking, and if you have anything to say below, any questions, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right? Have a good one.